Welcome to Collective Gifts. I'm Noella and this is Rachel.
Hello, everyone. As we continue our series on Hineni, which is total surrender to God, we want to go forth and ask ourselves, how can we add or increase our personal value? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you think about it, the different things that we were talking about, preparing yourself while you wait, because we have to do our part in co-laboring God, all those different things, right, of keeping our mind and heart clear, of studying and praying and going forth with spending time with God to getting to know his voice and getting into that place where we can just totally step out in a leap of faith by totally trusting and obeying him, even when things don't make sense. That's going to help us grow in our faith journey, and it's going to help us to be able to take those big leaps of faith whenever God tells us, because when he tells us to move, it's never going to look like the way we think it is. And so while we're doing that, one of the key things, if you just dig deeper, is ultimately all those things are based on love. Right? If we love God, then we're going to go forth and do these things. But not only we're going to do it, but we're going to be faithful. And as we go forth in faithfulness, that's where we're going to go forth in a spirit of excellence. So we want to share with you a scripture about that.
So this comes from 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58, and this is from the Amplified Version. It says, "Therefore, my beloved brothers and sisters, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Lord, always doing your best and doing more than is needed, being continually aware that your labor, even to the point of exhaustion, in the Lord is not futile nor wasted. It is never without purpose." So if you think about it, going forth above and beyond what's expected of you, and being continually aware that even though you get tired, and sometimes when you get tired, you're just like, okay, I'm just going to take a break, or I'm going to resume this tomorrow. You have to overcome that tiredness, overcome all these obstacles that may try to stop you from completing whatever it is and going forth in above and beyond what's expected. We have to just fight through it, because, life is not easy. Things get in the way. And, there's distractions along the way that may try to hinder you and make you like, oh, I'll pick this up and put it off till later, which we shouldn't be doing that.
We have to keep going forth and persevere until something happens. And when you think about that, that just develops us in our character, right? Developing our faithfulness and our trust, our obedience, all of that stuff. And that's what Joseph did when he was falsely accused, right? And imprisoned when he shouldn't have been. He didn't give up and throw in the towel. He kept still being the same Joseph, being faithful, going forth in excellence, and going forth stirring up his gifts. And God utilized that, which looked like it was the worst possible thing that could happen to him, to be the best possible training ground for him.
And you can see that wherever he was, he did his best. He excelled, and he was always promoted to the most powerful position underneath that person that he was under.
Because favor was upon him. God's favor was upon him because he went in excellence. That honors God. It blesses him. And so God's hand was upon him to promote him, so then he could increase in his gifts and ministry, so that he would be ready to be second in command of all of Egypt. And for us personally, when we were young in faith and we started training at the church that we went to, we would show up to things, and distance wasn't going to be a thing that kept us. We lived maybe almost like 40 minutes away, and there'd be times we'd have to go to church maybe 4 times a week for participating in different activities, or days in a row. Remember, that used to be so tiring.
There was like 2 weeks in a row we went every night to church and, fought through traffic, because it got trafficky.
But it was because God called us to participate in these things. It wasn't something, we wanted to do in the natural. We always were led by what God was calling us. And when you do that, God's grace is sufficient for you. So if you need that energy, right, whatever it is you need to complete that season, he's going to give it to you. And during that time, we didn't know any better. We just thought, okay, we were taught to be spirit-led, spirit-ruled. So if God tells you to do something, go forth in obedience. If other people are telling you to do it, when the going gets rough, right, you're going to quit and you're not going to complete it. But if God tells you to do something and it's him, then when it gets tough, that's where you're not going to give up. You're going to still persevere, and you can always go to God and he'll help you, get you supply whatever you need to be able to complete that. And we noticed that. And not only that, but people in leadership would always be thanking us for our faithfulness. Remember? Like, thank you for coming. You're so faithful and obedient to God, and we know he's going to do great things. And sure enough, that's what God did. We accelerated in our growth and in our calling, because we weren't distracted by how we felt or adversity we were focused on what God was doing and just continue to be steadfast, going forth above and beyond. Because when you go wholeheartedly, right, you're not going to do anything half-hearted. You're going to go and, do whatever you need and then more, so that you're always trying to improve and better yourself, which was the best training ground for us.
It was.
And so we had great opportunities to develop our gifts and learn to work with different types of personalities and people, and just be able to see the blessing of God, because he led us to go forth in that, and we were faithful and went forth in excellence. And that's where it added to our own personal value, so that other people were able to see it. And now that we've been in leadership, we look at other people and we can see, okay, what those leaders saw in us, we can see in other people who are faithful, and they are valuable to us. Because if they weren't faithful, right, then we would be left with no one, right, to help us co-labor with God. And because of their faithfulness and obedience, not only do they add value for themselves so that we can all work together, but they also bring value to us, even as leaders, because now it's a blessing to us in encouraging us, and it's a blessing to be able to pour into them. So ultimately, you end up being blessed to be a blessing.
Another thing is, you are an influencer. Every one of us is an influencer, whether you know it or not, because people are always watching you, watching how you do things, what kind of reactions you have when, surprises arise, or if there's like some kind of traumatic thing, or, tragedy, whatever it is. People are watching, and they're listening to how you react, what you say, and just like how you do things. And if you react like the world, they're going to know, like, oh, there's nothing different about you. But as we go forth in excellence, they'll be able to see the difference between you and the world, and see that there is something about you that no one else does. That's, you go forth in excellence, you go forth in love and in peace, and just with the fruit of the Spirit. So when you go forth like that, you're going to attract people who don't know, like, what is it that makes you so different? And so that you can be an influencer to them and introduce them to Christ, because they may not necessarily walk into a church, and to be able to, experience that for themselves in the church. So wherever you go, you're the church, and you're that influencer to people around you.
Yes, exactly. And so you inspire people. And not only do you inspire people, you don't even have to say a word, right? Just show up, just be you. And that people will be able to see that and identify that you are different. And as you go forth in doing that, yes, it does honor God. It pleases God. He loves it when we go forth in excellence, because that's how, if we, he is able to get that glory, right? Because it's not all on our own strength, right? And so the glory of God is upon us, and we can give him all glory, because people are going to ask, well, how did you do this? Why? And so you're able to direct them. All right, it wasn't by me, but we have a source, and it's through God. And it's by the grace of God that we were able to go forth in it, and to be able to share and just allow God to, cultivate a relationship and lead you to be able to show them how to increase their own value too. And so we hope that this encouraged you, that you will go forth and just examine your hearts and to see, all right, what can you do to increase your value? Are there little tweaks that you need to make? Because I know we always, even though where we're at now, God takes us from glory to glory, right? We're always trying to grow and improve. And so this is a great time for us to just examine and ask God to reveal those areas, because we want to be mature and complete, right? Not lacking anything in our faith journey, so that we are ready and prepared for what God has for us. And then not only that, but we increase our personal value, and then we can also then be a blessing and increase other people's personal value. So we are blessed to be a blessing. So thank you for joining us. We really truly love and appreciate you for your prayers and for your encouragement, and just going forth on this faith journey with us this year to Mālama Pono, to take care of ourselves and get ready for the glorious things God is doing. So we will see you again soon, and until next time, Shalom.